So on the latter quarter of last year, I got pretty much made redundant.
Talk to me about the first couple of days.
Terrifying. Biggest ones on the radar is probably in March. I'm going to be rolling out my Patreon.
Arlo, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back. It's good to be back.
So it is your second time on the show, and now you are main cast on Sounds Like Adventure. But if by some fluke, somebody listening to this show somehow hasn't listened to that show as well, who are you? Who is Arlentric?
Who is Arlentric? I am a D&D/TTRPG content creator, and I mainly do skit-based videos around the wonderful worlds that I play in and rules and all that fun stuff. So aspiring sketch comedian is probably the best title for myself.
So since we spoke last, what's happened for you? You're now a full-time content creator. We've seen you dive into the actual play space. Your content on your YouTube channel is evolving over there as well. It's a really exciting time for you. But you had a bit of like an existential moment that sort of triggered you to be able to go into full-time content creation. Can you tell us that story?
Absolutely. So on the latter quarter of last year, I got pretty much made redundant from my current job. I've been working full-time since I finished university, bouncing around in different IT, web design, project management roles. And then last year was a very interesting year for me. At one point, I quit a job and then they re-offered me another role, but 4 days a week. I started my own business, and then simultaneously to all of that, content creation started doing pretty decently. So until about October last year, I was working 3 jobs, and then I was also doing content creation on the side, and some of those things had to give. And then when I got made redundant, I kind of made the decision to just give content creation a try. Not everyone really gets the opportunity, or I think everyone does at some point get the opportunity to really chase their dream and give it a go. And I felt like this was my time to do so. So I did that. I was made redundant. I had a nice month or two reprieve at the end of last year to try and prepare for full-time starting this year. I mean, I technically started at the end of last, but I guess it was more preparation for all things this year. And that's what I've been doing since, which is weird and still doesn't feel real some days. Like I still feel like I'm waking up and just me sitting in a room talking to myself as little characters and reading the books that I love. Doesn't feel like a real job. It's very volatile. It's scary. But I am enjoying the process of it.
So talk to me about the decision itself, making that decision. How did you decide to be like, I'm going to really take a crack at this?
It was definitely not an easy one. It probably over PAX Australia weekend, I think I had a good conversation with a couple of people in the space, especially people who'd made that decision themselves, or even in similar circumstances to me when they made the decision. I think I was considering it, but I didn't really know how plausible or feasible it was. And I don't think I'm a person who's really ever betted on themselves in most regards, but it kind of felt like at the end of the day, I kind of came down to worst case scenario, I do this for 3 months, and if I don't earn a cent, I will reconsider everything. At worst case scenario, I'll find a job. But I don't necessarily know what the extent of content creation is, the longevity of it, or how long this window of time is. So might as well give it a crack, bet on myself, and that's what I did.
So you set that goal of 3 months, not making a cent. How many months are you in now? And have you made at least 1 cent?
Technically, I was counting it from January, so we still have a month, but I have made a cent. So this will continue for at least another month or so.
Love that. 1 cent per month. That's the operating costs. Talk to me about the first couple of days after you've made this decision, when you wake up in the morning and you're like, this is what I'm going to do.
Terrifying. The most terrifying period. I think the most terrifying period of time were the last few months of last year. I had a lot of other stuff going on as well that was impacting all of it, but I think it's something that definitely caught me off guard even going into January this year. This was my creative outlet, and then once it became my everything, and I had the joy of having a job that paid for a roof over my head. A video not doing well after my actual job didn't matter. As someone who's never really wanted to care about analytics, I have to care and I have to look at them. And that sucked. That really sucked for the first couple of months. I'm in a much better way with it now, where I can see a video is doing good or bad and be fine with it either way. But the reality of everything changing a bit, even though I haven't lost the fun of recording and editing and the ideas. I love all of that. I wish it came with a consistent, you're going to get this much money every month, and I could just sign a dotted line so I didn't have to worry about anything else. But yeah, the first couple of days, none of it felt real. Kind of got up with, I used to allocate 40 minutes a day to get everything done. And now the idea of kind of having a 35-hour work week to do the same thing. I didn't know what a productive workday looked like because I didn't know what a realistic amount was to achieve in each day. And I still really don't. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I'm a lot better at it now, I think.
And how are things when you wake up in the morning 2 months in?
Much better. I'm in a rhythm now of, I think the hardest thing, because I've always worked for other people. I mean, I ran my own business, but it was driven by clients and externals. And I think I typically steer towards being told what to do because it's easier. And then you get the joy of becoming your own boss. Scheduling and figuring out when my working hours were and setting those hard boundaries for myself was incredibly hard. Now I'm very consistent with it. Like, it's not the perfect mechanism, but around 5 or 6 when I go, I'm hungry and should start considering cooking dinner, that's a good time to stop the work day. I try to set harder boundaries with myself around my weekends are kind of weird. Sometimes it's Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes it's Sunday, Monday. Sometimes sponsors will delay videos going up and I have to do extra stuff over the weekend. I'm probably working more than ever, but I am enjoying the work more than any other job I've done.
And I think as a result of this, from my perspective as an outsider, I've seen your content really start to like evolve and get more bold. So talk a little bit about your philosophy around like some of your medium and long form content that you're making on your YouTube channel now.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that I wanted to gear my attention towards for this year. A big goal is kind of, I guess, figuring out not a formula, but for lack of a better word, we'll say that, of what my medium to longer form YouTube content was going to look like. I tried a lot of things over those 2 months, a lot of which didn't go well, but I was also eventually okay with that because I think the hardest thing, especially for YouTube content creation as a whole, I'm very successful on the shorts feed. I make short form content. That is my bread and butter. But that doesn't convert to somebody who wants to watch a 40-second video being willing to sit down and watch a 20-minute more informative thing. So I've been trying to build them up almost separately from one another just to kind of figure out what I enjoy making. And I think I've kind of hit a sweet spot where my biggest issue is figuring out filming locations. And then I went, I've got a green screen, problem solved. I don't have to move from where I am right now. And then I've realized I really wanted to try and get across more informative content in a way that was still, I guess, in sync with my short form. So it's more comedy-based information. I'm sneaking in knowledge to the audience in the form of jokes, so it still feels very me.
Yeah, it feels like a logical expansion of your short form content in a lot of ways, where it's like still joke based, but it's jokes based around real stuff and like real takeaways that people can make. I really liked the video you did. I haven't actually seen the show, so I had to like try and understand what it was all about. But the video you did about Arcane, where you dove into how you would run like an Arcane based homebrew situation. Talk a little bit about that. Is that something you see more of in the future?
I absolutely think so. I've got a backlog of content which I've never had before, and I'm editing my way through stuff, which is really exciting. I think I'm much more comfortable in doing things that I want to do rather than doing things that I think people would search for. Like, it's probably the opposite of what you should do to get your content algorithmized in YouTube. But at the end of the day, I think the second I stop enjoying what I'm doing is a time to reevaluate all of this, because I took a really big punt on myself doing something I enjoy and love. So I don't want to veer away from, if a movie comes out and it's awesome and I want to run a game in this world and I think I can explain people how to do that, I'll keep doing that.
And you have also dived pretty hard into the actual play space as well. We're seeing you appear on a lot of shows. Obviously, you're on Sounds Like Adventure. I get to experience this firsthand. And if there's anyone who is listening who hasn't checked out the show, I really strongly recommend you do check out Arlo's amazing work. I think you made people cry at points. It was emotional. Oh my gosh, I still think about it to this day. Mostly think about how you told me I suck at the end of the last session we played though.
You do, in a nice way. You broke me.
God, I still laugh when I think about how angry everyone looked at the end of that cliffhanger. But anyway, we're supposed to talk about you in actual play here. Talk a little bit about your experience jumping into the actual play world.
Yeah, so it's been very exciting and overwhelming and intimidating. I think now that this gets to be my everything, it does feel weird that this is still kind of the job of being able to just go play with people. So some of the other recent ones outside of Sounds Like a Venture that I've done, Cloud Kill Connor ran a Crossroads, which was a supernatural themed kids on brooms game, which was really fun, and we've just wrapped up that. And then I've been a part of Castleton as well, which is a huge 100 and I don't know what the exact number is that we're saying, but 120-ish player Bridgerton inspired, very performative series, which, slight spoilers alert, I was in for the start of season 2 and died very quickly afterwards, which was very fun. I've never done, I think, something that, I guess, performative. It's very Bridgerton, which is not something I typically veer towards, but it was fun to play alongside some incredibly talented individuals. And I got big imposter syndrome with just getting to sit across some of this exceptionally actual actors, and, they're all sharing what they do. And I make dad jokes sometimes, and but a lot of praise. I learned a lot from that experience, it was really fun.
We had Cloud Kill Connor on the show just recently. He gave a big plug for that series as well. This Crossroads is what it was called.
Yes.
So check that one out. I believe that'll be on his YouTube channel by the time this episode comes out. Talk about the Castleton experience, because it seems like quite a phenomenon.
Yeah, it's the scale of it is. I get intimidated by the scale of it. I think I've known firsthand from AJ that it's a lot. I can't imagine trying to run a game for that many people. You've got set recording times. You kind of have to have a pre-idea of what's happening in any given scene. And you're only ever in a recording with 6 or 7 people, because to do any more than that would be brutally unfair to everyone's time. And you're playing with people from all over the world, so. It's been quite the phenomenon in what it's been, and it's some truly incredible stories and arcs, and I'm pretty happy with the character I got to play and run, and like the little family dynamic that I was in.
Who was your character?
I played as the demigod of sloth, which was very fun, and I liked presenting him in the opposite of what you presume someone who was sloth-like would look like, and to be very vague, because if you want to go see it, you can go watch me on it. I'm in 4 episodes consecutively. It is the quickest arc and death of all time, and I kind of kicked off unintentionally a lot of the repercussions for a lot of other people afterwards, which was very interesting to see, because I kind of thought, well, I'm off the screen now. I assume the story's going to keep on rolling, and I was like, oh, I'm still getting mentioned because it affects these 13 other people who exist in this world who had interactions with my character. It's crazy. It's like the family dynamics. And I came in at season 2. There's been people who've been around for so much longer. We're not calling it season 2. I think it's part 2. AJ, if you see that, not season 2, part 2. Apologies. But it is coming to a conclusion. They're doing a 4-part finale, because there's just so many arcs to close. You can check all of that out on Wintertail's Twitch or YouTube.
Awesome. And I know you have some big plans for the future. So what's coming up soon for Arlentric?
Biggest ones on the radar is probably in March. I'm going to be rolling out my Patreon, which is something I've been very excited for and encouraged by my community to go ahead and do. I've just been trying to give something back. My audience are very supportive in the sense that they say, we just want to support you. I still want to offer people who are willing to subscribe to me in any format something in return. So I've been working with some incredible artists to make some custom D&D 2024 and in 5th edition subclasses that are very stupid themed like me. So it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with the art, and I'm just slapping them together now. Looking at running my own mini D&D series with a producer and stuff later in the year. So look out for that when I figure out how to get on top of my schedule. And then probably just a lot more funny content. I had a bit of a reflective period over the New Year's. And one thing I absolutely love is my community. And I've realized people like engaging with me when I'm a bit more serious, especially on the YouTube post feed. I did a couple of just last year was really great to me and a really tough year. And I think I was very harsh on myself in the sense of I wasn't proud in the fact that I just make jokes. I was beating myself up a bit about that. But I guess engaging with them and talking to them, which is something I stopped doing when I was being a bit too harsh on myself. I veered away from talking and engaging with the people that I genuinely love making content for. And I realized, especially when I'm feeling down, how incredible it is to have someone that can, bring a laugh to you and bring some joy, and hearing that firsthand from people who watch my content and that they look forward to seeing my face or whatever jokes I make. It's kind of re-sparked that. I'm very proud that I guess I am a comedian of sorts in the D&D space, because I think it is knowing firsthand when you're feeling really shit, how hard it is to like feel good and laugh. I feel really proud in the fact that for some people out there, I can do that. So it's definitely re-sparked a bunch of longer term big projects that I want to do to kind of keep doing what I know I'm actually good at.
I love that you've got range as well, Arlo, is what I love, because you talk about being a comedian, but then I see you on these actual plays and you're just like serving brutality.
I do have range. I'm learning that myself. I can be a bit more serious sometimes. It's interesting.
I love it. Can I squeeze any more of a tease out of you on these subclasses? By the way, you've piqued my interest.
You know what? I can do that. So absolutely. So what I'm looking to do, it'll be a month-to-month rollout. I don't know where it came from. I was just stewing away on like, what's something stupid I can do? And then I was talking to this artist, and I'm doing food-themed subclasses in the most literal sense possible, like a waffle barbarian. We've got bacon wizard, and we're doing a pancake stack ranger are the first three that I'm working on. The artwork's incredible. I've just got to make sure these subclasses are as polished as that. And I'm looking at probably doing an entire weird food-themed stuff, because it's just it's been my most enjoyable creative outlet at the moment. So I'm looking forward to getting that out there.
Gosh, I love this. You are like the Weird Owl of D&D. Everything's food related.
That. I like that title.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow. No, I love that. I love custom subclasses. Actually, I'll give a plug for one of your videos. One of my favorite videos of yours is when you go through and you rank a bunch of different D&D homebrew subclasses that people can get. I love that stuff. I think it's so fun. I think a lot of people don't realize that stuff is out there as well. Like, you can roll up some, like, there's the famous blood hunter, like roll up a proper Witcher type of character. You can do that kind of stuff. So I think that is super cool. But for anyone listening, I'll say, I know people have been like after you to like open a Patreon, and everyone's been like, just open it. Don't even put anything on there. People will join. And you've always been like adamant. You're like, I need some stuff here. I really need to actually give something to people. So I know when this opens, there's going to be some serious business in there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come out with.
Thank you, bud. I appreciate that.
So last time we had you on the show, I didn't get to ask you all the recurring questions because we had such a long conversation.
We did. Okay. Lay them on me.
And since we've spoken last, I've changed things up a little bit and I've removed one of them, but I still have 3 recurring questions that I ask to every guest on the show. So let's dive into them now. So first question, I want you to take me back to the first ever character that you played in a tabletop game. Who were they?
That's so fun. In a tabletop game. Wow. Okay. So this is a story that I actually forgot about until a friend reminded me of this, because I was probably 16 and went to a friend's house that we were just going to have drinks and play board games. And then he randomly borrowed, I don't even know if it was 5th edition at the time, but he just borrowed like a D&D player's handbook, and we rocked up without any prep and tried to figure out how to play. And we did it for, I think, an hour and a half, just because he didn't know how to DM. But I played as a cleric that I don't remember the name of, but the whole gag was that I healed people by making them drink out of a big goon sack. And for any non-Australians out there, that is a casked wine sack that costs about $11 and is putrid. And I had the goon sack with me, so I'd forcefully feed it to my friends as we were playing. Horrible character. It was just to heighten the rest of the night. Don't remember anything else about them, but that was my first D&D and TTRPG experience.
Wow. And that hooked you, obviously, from that point on.
Oh, it's such a core memory, obviously, yeah.
That's incredible. So question 2. This is one I'm really excited to ask you, actually. What is your most controversial tabletop games opinion?
Oh, that's So interesting. I don't know if it's controversial. No, I'll do two. One's not as controversial. Death saves. I don't let any player see what they've rolled, even the person who's rolling them. So I have a dice tower. They drop the dice in. I'm the one who records because we tried doing the whole they roll and they keep it to themselves. But even when they react to what's rolled, sometimes it gives it away. Where if they roll the one, their face looks like terror and play. I like the idea of if you've gone unconscious, you wouldn't know if you're clinging to life. And I don't. That's something I would never fudge. It makes it much more terrifying and exciting. I don't think it's that controversial, though.
Good, though. I love it.
It is good. I think one thing I've learned from a bunch of other systems and health as a whole in D&D and like higher level stuff makes the game less interesting. I like the idea of if you were like a ranger and your whole thing is I can shoot bow and arrows, one good sword swing should still be able to kill you. Like, I don't like, it's good that you're more proficient with your bow or sword, or you can do cooler spell. Like, why does a wizard, unless they're using magical spells to defend themselves, get more health when they learn more spell? Like, they've still got skin and blood. Like, I'm sure if they were sleeping, that's what it is. We've gone full circle. I love Game of Thrones up until season 6. I love Lord of the Rings. I love the idea of somebody being snuck up on and like secretly stabbed and that being the end of their life because they didn't catch on to this but like the idea of, you got this big political based campaign, all of this thing, suddenly guy sneaks up on them, attacks them, does 4 damage and they've got 90. Not as impactful. I wish there were better mechanics to instantly kill someone because they didn't expect it. I know that's really grim. People should still, there should be a way of instantly killing people in all games that isn't power word kill.
Yeah. Okay, cool. The Sims, well, it's an instant kill in that as well. House flipper, whatever it is. Cool. Love that. I agree, though, that it definitely does take the wind out of your sails if you try and do some cool assassination and then the DM's like, okay, can you roll your attack damage now? You're like, no, I just knifed this guy. Like, let's go into cinematic mode now.
It's even like going to a dungeon. They walked on a rug that was over a spike trap, and the idea of them landing on the spikes not instantly killing them, it's kind of lame. Like, you guys should have looked better. That's pretty brutal. I probably wouldn't want to implement that, but there should be a way of doing it if you want to.
It's a problem for Patreon by the sounds of things. You might have to solve that one. And then final question, when you think back to your time spent around the table over the years, do you have a favorite story or a favorite memory?
God, that's such a hard one to narrow. I'm going to give you a big cop-out answer. So my home game that I ran for 2.5 years, there's not going to be any individual one thing that jumps out to mind. But I know as a whole, knowing all my players very intimately, and the fact that for all of them who were a bit skeptical about it first, who were all new to it, outside of one person who'd played once and myself, the fact that it became an outlet for all of them when things weren't going well outside of the game. Even like personalities, like some of my players were very introverted but became more vocal leaders of the group roles when they could use D&D as an escape felt very magical in a sense. And the fact that I could enable that in any way and that it meant so much to everyone at the table, and that like when we all came together, we could leave everything out the door and just go play make-believe for 5 hours, and the second it was done, we were all desperate to do it again. That's something that I don't think you can really capture anywhere else. And it's a weird thing to describe to someone who's never heard of or experienced a TTRPG, that like not even doing fake voice, but the idea of just sitting around a table and just like the nonsense conversations we had after dumb things that happened, that when like the bits that go too long that only happen in home games because you're all laughing about something stupid that happened for so long. They're the best memories. They're the ones I think about all the time and the reasons I want to go back and play, because you don't get that in anything else.
That's not a cop-out answer at all, Arlo. That's a fantastic answer. I love it. Incredibly relatable. Thank you for joining me today. If anyone's interested in checking out more, where can they find you?
You can find me on Arlentric, Arlentric, on all platforms, primarily YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I should be on Patreon by the time this is out. And Jack, thank you so much for having me again, bud. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.